Curse of the White Corsair, Book 3, Ólafur and Ásta, Part 3. I wandered ragged through the town, a vagrant in that city. No monk nor merchant ever shown a penny's morbid pity. I watched fat vendors pay for fraud, for sins not yet committed, paying monks to pray the Lord, then state the sins acquitted. I watched as those in finest clothes behave as if Lord led, but only fellow vagrants gave me a crumb of bread. Only foreign floaters furnished a little rest. The rest, the rich, the voters, I prodded off a pest. I pondered as I wandered, and I wandered lost for days. I wandered as I blundered in a dismal, wistful maze. I pondered as I wandered from Genoa to Marseille, how my stable life got squandered to a misery-driven days, to a miserable existence with my family sold as slaves. I walked till utter weariness cemented stiff my legs, and collapsed bemused with bleariness in a tavern brimming dregs. I was so weak, so slow to speak, crumpled in a doorway, my letter read soon after fed by a drunk old dreg from Norway. My tale twined with ale and wine made moods of drinkers mellow, my board secured and food procured by a feeble German fellow. And so I stayed for endless days, paid mortals for my story, but though I paid the tavern's maid, I judged inflammatory. My saga spied with much distrust, repeating truly painful, for when my frankness was discussed, her manner down disdainful. My survival was a sword blade, I prayed save this sober priest. The Lord awarded special aid, and guarded palms got greased. At last in kindness wrapped in, as taken under arm of a kindly Danish captain who kept me safe from harm. 6 weeks we travelled northward, sketched diaries of distress, with my tortured story authored for King Christian IV to press, into raising funds for freedom, chance my sons I'd repossess. But alas, landing in Zealand to find the Danes at war, and my devastation deepened, for no ransom funds no more. A caring Copenhagen crowd, who were a carousel, swirled en masse till I felt cowed, but only wished me well. I had their blessings, I was told, I had their adoration. Blessings told, but not no gold to pay your liberation. I cowed to kindly Icelanders who lined the windy shore, embracing friends and bystanders, and wished that there were more. Upset to see how less of we the Turkish left. The few who'd stayed escaped the raid, so few I sobbed bereft. So few escaped the slaughter, so few escaped the theft. And then I saw my daughter, and broke then, and I wept. I faintly held my Helga, and we were racked with sobs. I hugged her, and I held her, for our family that were robbed. I told her very weakly, as we clenched a comfort cross. They probably lost completely, crying stinging tears of loss. Then I set out to do what I still do today, petitioning the bishops, urging congregations pay those Muslims most malicious who stole our folk away. From vacant Hamey Island I plead each dismal day, as I scan empty horizons for you scouring the bay. I muse about our sacrifice with not a soul to tell, how Algiers looked like paradise but had a heart of hell. I dwell all spring and summertime by myself and simply stare at a starkly desolate sea skyline, pining and in prayer. I brood the brutal winters, it's the winters I can't bear, with my core cracked into splinters in a nightmare of despair, with my world completely shattered by losing that mattered, going slowly mad sat at a cold solitary chair. These days of dark by candle, I'm still writing of the scandal, still hoping that some phantom would appear to pay the ransom, pay a visit chance to cancel out this mantle of my gloom. I fear I'll take it to my tomb, now I've gone half insane. I sense with such impending doom, I'll not see you again. On these dark days I strain to see, my ears both seem polluted. Only dreaming's clear to me, with a Turkish raid most lucid. In bed I only seem to thrive, asleep I am not mad. In vivid dreams I'm still alive, to hold up what I once had. To hold you tight with youthful hands, not these, not gnarl and lame, and carry you from Islam's lands, invalidate the blame. The shame, it's too substantial, I crave an early grave. I failed to find financial aid to save you as a slave. I'm set to see you all again, our time will be in heaven. where we can all forget the pain of 1627. Ásta, Porstein daughter. Heartless bastards squandered sums, fomenting my disaster, releasing me and not my sons from Sillaby, my master. Ransomed me to tragedy from funds fraudsters depleted. Had one instead of three set free by trustees who had cheated. Trusted, cheated charlatans had prospered, robbing off it. The bribe for all the reverend's tribe plundered for their profit. And why'd those swindlers fail inquire about my aspiration, about my hopes and my desire to see my son's salvation, to see my darling boys mature about what I had wanted, not free to on my own endure the living of the haunted. Be by my boys, behold them bloom, and by them bearing credit, not grieving in this empty gloom, tending a decrepit. What did I do to come back to a life that lacks affection? What did I do to deserve you and maudling introspection? Ali picked in Sillaby, I muse as still my master, was still, so I'd not be with thee, thy dry, demented pastor. Ah, yes, he was a fearsome lord, oppressed those in his power, but I with he seem less ignored, and he not old and dour. Though dour be befuddled, emptied sack, who lives the pastor's present, whose spirit died in that attack by Cunsacks of the Crescent. Thy spirit died, a shell came back, a shell I am now too. I did not die in that attack, but when I bid my boys adieu. I died upon the quayside, and am now as dead as thee. There upon the quayside, whence ransomed only me. And every day I die again as days slide into years, sliding down depression's drain for sons left in Algiers. Such pain I've had in this present, where your pain's in the past, and though both crushed in lament, my now stead then contrast. As still your soul is on that ship, else back in that slave market, replaying back to that 2-month clip by looping the same circuit. It is your very essence late by which you're decomposing. 'Tis all you seem to contemplate, awake till often dozing. 'Tis all you blather on about to any heeding neighbour, whinging whilst I'm wearing out, shouldering the labour. Your scraggy shoulders would have sagged the shit I've had to weather. Yet it's you tediously nagged, stretching taut my tether. Nagging God on frozen sods, though obviously forsaken. Your hollowness was obvious so soon after we were taken. Your emptiness a hindrance for us to on proceed. Your brooding and disinterest were fetters ne'er be freed. They are self-hammered manacles, the chains from which you curved, by burdening weak muscles to see you ill-preserved. And now you're dead, and in the ground I dug the frigid soil, resting neath your little mound whilst ragged on I toil. And is your soul still woeful since you've quit this mortal coil? Is thy moaning ghost most vocal on your life left in turmoil? 'Cause my soul's devastated, but on with it I press, claim I the more deflated, that decade in distress. A decade serving Sillaby, that merchant ex-marauder, who sold my son to Tripoli to feed a beast his fodder. 'Twas me that had more agony, and sure went one more missing. My boys bartered by him as toys, whilst you here reminiscing. 'Twas I with thrice the misery, routinely mauled and groped, whilst you tended your ministry, yet more than me you moped. I'd on with it, life's rocky road, for I'd no other choice. For these poor ears have never heard God's reassuring voice. God never whispered comforts, I'd never heard commands, so on with it I lumbered as I raped in Muslim lands. I prayed he'd never interfered, though on you'd on pretend, nay halted crime in Algiers, so I'd ousted God a friend. And I dismissed you sermons said to shun your shite advice, as once you die you're simply dead, no sons nor paradise.